Welcome to episode 2 of our big American road trip of 2023. In episode 1, we had left Phoenix for Jerome. We drove Route 66 west to a London landmark, then over the mountains to the fabulous Las Vegas, where you find us at the start of day 6 in an interesting off-strip motel and the imminent arrival of our luggage. Thanks British Airways, and if you could now settle the compensation claim after 9 months, that would be even better. No point hanging around when the motel front desk will look after our bags when they arrive. So breakfast first, then a walk up to the strip. It's not our first time in Vegas, it's actually the third time we've been here. And we're only really stopping on this holiday to break the journey. But it's incredible how much has changed since we were here 10 years ago. Then again, it's still a bit tacky, bit dirty, overly expensive, and so it really hasn't changed that much. Now, I'm not saying that tacky is a bad thing. You don't come to Vegas for a classy experience. As much as they might want you to think of it as classy, it's not really. So what you've got to do when you get here is do what we did and embrace the tackiness. So we went for a dinner at the Tournament of the King's medieval show in the Excalibur. We again ignored all advice and walked back to our motel at 10 o'clock that night, but we felt totally safe. Even better, our bags had arrived and we had jackets, jumpers, clean clothes, etc. And as you will see, jackets are going to be really important for the next few stops. Day 7 and I got to fulfill an ambition. I drove the full length of Las Vegas Boulevard to see the strip from the 5-lane road. With the bags arriving, I even had my dash camera to film it all. But the dash camera was new and untested, and when we arrived at the next stop, all the Las Vegas footage was already copied over. So thankfully Joanne was filming with the GoPro and taking pictures, and that's what you see here. There is a really long road ahead of us today as we leave Las Vegas, and we're even going to be crossing into state number 3 as we're popping in and out of Arizona and Utah. Long flat plains of Nevada to the mountains of Arizona and Utah, this was a long drive. But with the mountain skies this dramatic, every mile was worth it. These pictures just don't do it justice. night we rolled into Page, Arizona in the early evening, and instead of going straight to the motel, we made a beeline for the Horseshoe Bend to try and catch the sunset. We were probably about 30 minutes too late for the full show, as the sun had just set when we arrived, but the setting was still absolutely stunning. Check into the hotel, night's sleep, because day 8 was another long drive. We started day 8 early to hit the road, even though we would be returning to Page later tonight. 2.5 hours from Page is a place that everybody will recognise. It is a good job views don't come with calories. We've just crossed the border back into Utah for today's adventure, and you can see on the horizon exactly what it is we're coming to visit. We're here at Monument Valley. We're on Navajo land now, so we pay at the gate, visit the gift shop and overlook, and then down into the valley itself on a gravel road. I'm glad this was a hire car. This place is easily in the top 3 of the most breathtaking places I have ever been. Just enjoy some of these views. We spent almost 3 hours in Monument Valley, and could have spent another 3. It was like nowhere I have ever been. But it couldn't last forever, and we had to get back to Page. Another long drive back, and Joe even taking a shot of the land barge at this point. Day 9. The view from our hotel window was of Lake Powell, held back by the Glen Canyon Dam. We drove over it on the way into Page, so I thought we'd start the day with a visit to the top of the dam before we start the journey. It's not quite as big as Hoover Dam further down the Colorado, but it's still pretty impressive. This is the mighty Colorado River. Eventually it'll get to the Grand Canyon, and so will we. Now I can see why nobody overtakes us on the freeway. We look like a police car. That could be useful. The journey today takes us south from Page, and for the second day in a row, we will visit one of the wonders of the natural world. The final destination for the day's drive is Flagstaff, Arizona, back on Route 66. That journey directly would take about 2.5 hours. But that would mean missing out the Grand Canyon. And you can't miss out the Grand Canyon, even though we've been there before. We're still about an hour away from the Grand Canyon itself, but look at this view from Antelope Pass on Highway 89. This will be the first time we've driven ourselves to the Grand Canyon, and it'll be the first time we've seen it from the South Rim. Previously we've taken a coach to the Wallapai Reservation, and then in 2010 we took a rather shonky flight across the top of it. This stop was at the Little Colorado Overlook before we got to the Grand Canyon itself. The place was absolutely deserted. Then we had to pull over this sign at the start of the Grand Canyon National Park. And I wouldn't have been so excited by this wee patch of snow if I'd known what was coming in the future. We arrived at the Desert Watchtower. And at that point it was very cold. But 10 minutes later, now you see why we were glad our luggage had turned up. Trust us to be at the Grand Canyon on the day it was hiding. The snow was drawing in, and we had a long way to go to get to Flagstaff, so we left behind the Grand Canyon and at the same time went from the Ice Age to the Stone Age. You think I'm joking? We really did go to the Stone Age for a yabba dabba doo time. This is Bedrock City on Highway 64. It's been here since the 1970s and is completely unique. Where else can you slide down a dinosaur's tail? Places like this are what road trips are all about. On days like this, when we visited, the added risk of hyperthermia and tetanus just increased the thrill. We still had to get to Flagstaff, and this involved driving along Highway 180. Remote, cold, and climbing almost 7,500 feet above sea level, the drifting snow caused plenty of concern, with a few heart-stopping moments as we drove into the darkness. But we finally made it to Flagstaff and checked in to the Hotel Aspen. The highlight of tonight was sitting in the laundry room and doing 2 loads of laundry before we climbed into a warm bed. The adventure continues on episode 3, with iconic motels, state number 4, and the chance of alien abduction. So remember to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next instalment of our great big 2023 American road trip. See you then.